So if you're dealing with a credit card company that has refused to remove fraudulent credit card charges off your credit report or credit the credit card back, here's a step-by-step process I've used, and our success rate has been over 100% over the last 20 years. This process could be used for fraudulent charges on your credit card that the lender is not agreeing to refund, or if you have fraudulently open credit cards or fraudulently open accounts, even if they're not credit cards, this process could be used to a T. Now, the only way you're not going to be successful with this is if you do not follow this process to a T. It's a tried and tested method. And the good news is that if you're not successful with the self-help route, we may be able to step in and potentially get you damages and monetary compensation as well. And our associate attorneys could help with that. More on that later, but let's get into this process and what this looks like. So the first thing is, let's just say you woke up, found some fraudulent charges on your credit report or on your credit card statement. You call the lender, they do an investigation and say, we think this is yours. Okay. So the next thing what you could do is you could go ahead and leverage the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and also the FCBPA. Now these statutes, FCRA is 15 USC 1681. It basically talks about what you need to do as a victim of identity theft. How do you declare yourself a victim of identity theft? And how do you go ahead and communicate with the creditors and the credit bureaus? And it also lays out the responsibilities of the creditors and the credit bureaus once you do declare yourself a victim of identity theft. So there are very specific steps that need to be taken as such. It's just not a simple phone call or what have you. So this graph is going to go over the step-by-step process, this flowchart rather, and the link to this chart is going to be in the description of this episode. The first thing you want to do is look at your 3 credit reports and see which credit reports are showing the fraudulent information. So there could be one or two things: a fraudulently open credit card versus a credit card that you have that is yours but has incurred fraudulent charges. So let's just call it fraudulently open card versus fraudulent charges on your credit card. So those are the 2 separate categories to address. Now, let's just say if you have a fraudulently open credit card, just look at the balance on the credit report, see who the creditor is. You want to be 100% sure that this is fraudulently open, because what happens is some credit card companies get taken over by other credit card companies and you don't recognize this new company. So what you want to do is, if you have a fraudulently open credit card, call up the credit card company and say, hey, I don't recognize this card. Can you tell me more about it? Where was the credit card mailed to? What email do you have for me? What phone number do you have for me that was used when the account was started up? Phone number and email that they have on file is one that doesn't verify with you, then you know that this is fraudulent. But if they have your email, your phone number, and your address, and they say, we mailed this to your home address, then you want to do some digger deeping and find out, well, is this an account that I forgot about or, got taken over? I had an account with Capital One and now it's with Comenity Bank and I don't recognize Comenity and so forth. So that's what you want to do, is kind of do a little bit deep digging before you move to step 2, which is filing the fraudulent reports and such. What if you're a victim of fraudulent charges? It's your credit card and you have charges you don't recognize. Well, look at the statement and verify, is it a vendor that you've dealt with or not? Call the phone number and find out. Because if you go down declaring yourself a victim of identity theft, you're doing it under perjury. So you don't want to go ahead and make claims that they could easily dispel and disprove, because later on that's going to cause you a lot of headache and a lot of problems. So that's kind of like what you do is you do your initial audit. And once you're done with that, and you have all the information, then what you're going to do is file what they call an FTC report, the Federal Trade Commission report. And there should be a link to an article that I have here that talks more about that and gives you the step on how to file the FTC report and the police report. But if you're having any issues with that, you could email us directly. And so it's info_fraud@imaxcredit.com, or reach out to us by phone or on our website. Anyways, you do the FTC report, you file then a police report. as well. And you have to be very specific in both the police reports and the FTC report. You need to, if it's a fraudulently open credit card or fraudulently open account even, you need to put in the creditor name, when it was opened, and what the balance showing on the credit report is, and anything you know about the account, you put that in that report. What if there are fraudulent charges on the credit card? Well, you can't, let's just say, there's a $10,000 balance on your credit card and $5,000 is fraudulent charges. Well, you need to list in the report each fraudulent credit card charge that you believe is fraudulent that's on your own credit card. So you can't just say, hey, this entire account is fraudulent, whereas, part of the charges are yours and the other ones are fraudulent. So you need to be very specific. If fraudulent charges are made on a credit card that you legitimately have, you need to single out those charges, get these statements, and then put those charges on the police report and the FTC report. And it would look like something like this. On May 5th, there was a $500 charge from Uber, which is not mine. On May 7th, there was a $200 charge from Ruth Chris Dining, which is not mine. So you want to basically go ahead and list the credit card you're talking about and list each credit card charge. But you don't need to do this if the credit card is one you never opened up. Then all the charges are fraudulent. You just say, this credit card, this partial account number, these are the entire fraudulent charges. I do know that I never used this card, and $10,000 of whatever balance is showing is all fraudulent. Anyway, so once that's done, then what you're going to do is lodge dispute with each of the 3 credit bureaus. And what the credit bureaus will need a copy of your police report, a copy of the FTC report, and a dispute letter with which account you're disputing and what you're disputing about them. And once that's done, you're going to go ahead and put a copy of your ID and utility bill along with the dispute letter and send it out to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And also, you want to make a separate dispute letter for the credit card company and send that directly to the credit card company as well. So dispute it with the 3 credit bureaus by mail, or send your dispute to the credit card company or the company reporting the fraudulent information. And it needs to be sent out via certified return receipt mail. There needs to be a paper trail for it. And once that's sent, within 30 days, they are to, under the FCRA, they're to correct this information, correct your credit report, refund the charges, or remove the account from the credit report. Now, if that is not done, then reach out to us here at IMAX Credit, and you may be entitled to some damages if the disputes were done properly and the creditors don't delete the item from the credit report or correct the fraudulent charges. You could have a payday and get the credit repaired and the item removed from your credit report. Now, if that has happened, reach out to us directly at info@imaxcredit.com or reach out to us at 866-611-4629. That's our number. And one thing you want to be very, very cognizant of is keep a paper trail, save all your receipts, save the certified return receipt mail for tracking. That is all going to come in handy. Now, keep in mind that once you send these disputes out, the credit bureau will look at every small little detail to try to deny your dispute. What if the partial account number is not there? Or you're just saying Capital One account is fraudulent and you haven't listed the amount? Or if you've not gone ahead and put in a copy of the FTC report and the police report. So they'll just want a reason to deny your dispute. So you want to be very thorough with this when you do it. And this is too overwhelming, let us know. We could kind of give you some templates on how to get this done. Most of the time, if you basically follow the step-by-step guide, we provide the templates for you free of charge, and you could go at it at your own and see what happens. I've seen at least about half the time or more, the creditors, even if you do everything perfectly, the creditors say no. Why is that? Because most people are claiming fraud who are not victims of fraud. 90% of disputes that go to the credit bureaus and to the banks directly, unfortunately, are not fraudulent. So what ends up happening is that the credit bureaus and the creditors assume that everybody is making a claim which is false. And they basically say, well, if that's the case, you're going to sue us. And, if you're a true victim of identity theft, that's where we could come in and hold them accountable and get the items removed and get you some damages as well too. So anyways, I hope this information was helpful. Again, if you're a victim of fraud, do not lose hope. This can get fixed 100%. We've helped thousands of customers get their credit back and also in some instances, get damages back as well too. So happy hunting. And I look forward to hearing from you if you run into any snacks.